Oh, we're back with Red Tooth
Returning to
Observatory.
the observatory for what he hopes is the final time, the man feels anticipation and dread in equal measure. Soon, he knows, he will have what he needs.
Okay. What gets set up here? Anything?
Hello, I was expecting you. I've already taken care of the imaging array, but you should still look into securing the primary coolant flow. With some luck, you may be able to light the area before these things even show up.
Ooh, okay. That's how you do it. We're not doing this time. Get out of here.
Very good. I believe we're ready to look into the sky.
Right there, Doctor.
It's closed off, so we can't go that way. I'll throw the car at me again, probably. Good. What was it with that and cars? What are the cars? This. And track down some pages. When we meet up with metas, I'll double check the pages, see if they break them up by like a group or say act or something. That's annoying. Feel that quite right. So, or anything this way? Used to be something right about. Oh, right down there. There we go. $37, so that's not bad. Fine. Go the hard way. Definitely there's one. Yeah. How about shotgun at 40? Oh, shotgun at 40 would be really nice. I need 2. Can we get 2? Double check. Sorry. Dude. No, stop it! I gotta turn my DPI up. That's what's... Let's check. There's one over here. Needs to be. One more. Bad. I think, is it down this way? Nope. There. Well, one off. Maybe I was in the last time I was here and I didn't completely explore it. Oops. Hey there, killer. Like checking some stuff out. Back here, so. Thing this way. Nope, I'll pass. That's how you handle those guys. Come on in. He's recording himself?
This is what you look like. Does that bother you? I bet it does. I'm not just wearing your face, you know. It goes a lot deeper than that. There's a lot of you and me. All the best parts. At first, I was just an idea. But they kept telling all those stories about you. You already had that rep. And then you disappeared mysteriously. And then, the stories about bad, crazy Alan Wake came true. And here I am. That's the best part, isn't it? When that happens, you can always count on Cauldron Lake. I'm just as real as you are. And I'm the improved version. No fears, no doubt, no weaknesses, no self-deception here. I don't let anything drag me down. I know you like I know myself. I know it bothers you that I'm like this, that I use your name, crawl my way into your life. But I only do it because I'm better at being you than you ever were.
Nope. I do not think so. Where did they come through this time? Okay.
There, I have it. But I wish these things would stop blatantly violating the laws of physics in my observatory. That's just rude. Are you all right?
I'll live.
I'm glad. I'll send the lift down to you. I remember our previous encounters very clearly now. But technically, if this really is a loop in time, we've never met before. I don't know why our awareness persists, but it's bloody fascinating.
Okay. Let's see.
Doctor?
You know, I know physicists who would give 15 years of their lives for a chance to experience something like this.
I'd imagine that being stalked by horrible axe murderers would curb their enthusiasm a little.
Clearly you've never met hardcore physicists.
I'm glad you're in such good spirits, but
The signal! Yes, it's completed.
finally.
Oh,
If all goes well, this should be the last time we go through the loop.
You know, I just realized that I don't have any memory of what happens after you leave. What does that mean?
I don't think it means anything. If everything goes well, you just keep going. I don't show up here like this again, no more bad guys. Things go back to normal.
Let's hope you're right. I'd love the opportunity to look into this in more detail.
Looks like you've accepted the situation.
I'm a pragmatist. If this is a delusion, at least my first psychotic episode is anything but boring. Really, Mr. Wake, at the end of the day, I'm a scientist. I love mysteries. I love not knowing. Whatever else this might be, it's absolutely fascinating. I wonder how far this reaches. Is everybody in the world experiencing this?
Who knows? I think reality's probably pretty fragile right now. Doctor, I can see you're very enthusiastic about this. I'd appreciate a bit of discretion.
Are you suggesting that we should suppress this?
No, you can do what you like, but I want you to leave me out of it.
But surely, with the things you know, the things you've experienced, you can replicate any of these results. We could—
Let me be blunt. If you drag me into this, I'll deny everything. I'll lie like my life depended on it. And writers are damn good liars. Word of advice. This is things man was not meant to know territory. You get into this, chances are you'll open up a door into a world of hurt. Believe me, I know.
I see.
okay. Print out.
In a strange way, he feels at ease. He is armed with his own words, and when the time comes, they will be enough or they will not. For now, he's content to let the currents take him toward the final confrontation.
So this is the ending. Okay. So we'll see how this goes. Not sure where it's going to end up. Well, you know, I don't know. Oh, the theater. Yeah, that's right. I wonder what the ending is.
Once more, we return to the drive-in. If he's aware of the absurdity of arming oneself with a few sentences and standing against a power that can pierce time itself, he doesn't show it. The man has his share of weaknesses, perhaps more, but cowardice is not among them.
So we're starting out at the power plant instead of the theater. That's interesting.
Oh, you got yourself a little plan, do you?
That was close. Okay. Into the back. Double checking everything. What the hell, actually. Should check on that one lady too while I'm doing it, just to make sure she isn't like dead or crazy or. Okay, I'm out of flashbangs. That way. Need to pick up the MR down here too. Need this. Woo. Woo. That was close. No.
You're never getting out of this, Wake. Never! Don't worry. I'll take care of your wife and your life.
No.
You're starting to sound a little desperate.
Wow, okay. It's actually kind of cool. Really handy against those guys. I'm gonna enter the projector building, but first let's go check on Crazy Lady, see if she's actually sane or. I'm not sure if there's gonna be like a hidden ending if you save her, make sure she's okay.
I don't know what you think you're doing, but I'll send you right back to the beginning.
I saw that. Page is this way. I'm hoping it doesn't repeat again. 12 pages off, and if they put, say, 4 or 5 in each, I could see where they would, but I hope it doesn't.
What? You think whatever it is you're gonna do is gonna make a difference? This'll end up just like before!
I think he's getting desperate. Okay.
I've been around for a while now, you know? While you've been indisposed, stuck in the darkness, I've been busy. I operate in the shadows, not always literally, you understand? I'm a little more resilient than those I've taken, but I do my best work in the dark. And there's so much darkness out there. It goes deep. And the things that live in it are vast, big bastards. They don't mind getting a little bit of elbow room. All that chaos and madness, it doesn't really do that much down there. It's like pouring a glass of water into the ocean, right? But up here, yeah, you can really make an impact. All they need is someone to bring them all the way through. But first, I had to take care of you. You party pooper. You're stuck in an eternal cycle now. The sun's never coming up for you. Everything else? Do my thing. Getting a bit of quality time with Alice. That's a little something for me. And I deserve it.
Well. Okay. Let's... Is it? Out of here. There's one over this way. That's how you take care of it. There we go. Before we go in, let's check Crazy Lady. I don't want to enter that yet. Check her over here. To make sure she's not like, completely delusional. Just because I'm a nice guy. Sometimes many things are going to spawn too. Okay, lady? Oh, I forgot about the flares.
Oh, hey.
I'm hoping I can put an end to this now.
You'd better. I really don't want that to happen to me again. It's like somebody vomited in my brain, like a sleazy movie that keeps looping in my head.
I'll stop this, I swear.
You know the part that's really screwed up? If you mess it up, it'll just keep happening forever, right? I don't think I can deal with that.
Don't think about that.
I don't think of anything but.
Hey, afterwards, when all this is done, look me up. This thing, I can probably help you deal with it.
I don't know. It's almost like I'm not even in the same world anymore. Everything's just weird now.
Yeah, I know. A lot of that'll pass with time. But being touched by the darkness, it's rough on you. It's a lot to process. And I just don't want you to get completely screwed up by this.
Might be a little late for that, to be honest.
Yeah, well, there's degrees. At least you're not at a point where you go around picking fights with people over not changing their light bulbs often enough.
What?
Never mind. All I'm saying is, you're not alone with this. And anyway, you're friends with Alice, so, you know, any friend of hers.
Thank you.
I like her. Okay. Okay, I know that I said I would listen through the manuscript pages, and I know I completely forgot about it. So I'm kind of cutting into this and bringing you the manuscript pages. So here they are going forward. Sorry for all the confusion and whatnot. Doing this post, so yeah, hope you guys enjoy. This is the manuscript pages. Thanks.
As a storyteller, my first real love was crime. And it was in that genre that I finished my first novel, starring the perpetually miserable Alex Casey, whose entire life was a wound that never healed. The books sold as fast as they hit the shelves. I wrote 5 more Alex Casey books, and they all were bestsellers. I became rich. I became famous. Success brought pressure, and I didn't handle it very well. The pressure of success got to me. My wife Alice was the sole thing in my life that anchored me. Suddenly it wasn't enough. I couldn't write anymore. I distracted myself with wild parties and whatever trouble I could scare up. I wallowed in the drama of my life, sure that Alice would stick with me even though she didn't sign up to be the lifeline of a tortured artist. It was my dumb luck she's not the type to give up. The pressure of success got to me. I've seen the enemy, and it's me. I faced dark horrors before, things that live in the unimaginable pressures of the world beyond our own. Sometimes they masquerade as humans. That's what ultimately lurks inside Mr. He's every mean-spirited tabloid story about me, an evil caricature, a creature formed in that vague territory of misconceptions, half-truths, and the dark imagination of people who heard a story about me. An urban legend made flesh, a serial killer, my dark half, brought to life by the power of Cauldron Lake. I've carried a flashlight and a gun for so long that I feel naked without either. It's all too often that I need them. The darkness protects the taken. Shadows crawl over their forms like living things, protecting them from harm. Blows that would injure or kill a human outright mean nothing to them as long as the darkness persists. But light makes them vulnerable.
Light burns the shadows away. The darkness that drives them is still in them, but now they're vulnerable. Flashlight and gun. Sometimes it feels they're all I have left. The spiders aren't really the work of the enemy. They're a side effect, a part of the dark place's less significant fauna that has managed to slip through the opening I made when I arrived. Less an animal than an idea that has assumed the form of an animal. Makes them no less dangerous, but at least they're a little easier to deal with. The darkness doesn't protect them like the Taken, and thus they can be destroyed by either light or bullets right away. The atmosphere in the projection booth at the drive-in was charged, almost unreal. Despite that, the air felt cool and refreshing this late at night. It'd been a hot day. The summer was nearing its end, but it wasn't over yet. After my disappearance, they thought I was dead. I might as well have been. I know it's been 2 years. I know Alice has moved on. I've tried to find a way back to her, back to my life, but escaping the dark place is almost impossible. Time does strange things here, but dreams and radio signals can pierce the veil between the worlds. I catch glimpses and echoes of the world. Sometimes I send messages out. I can only pray that they hear them. Stories come naturally to us. We can't help it. There are many different worlds, many competing realities within our heads, fueled by books, television, even barely remembered childhood tales. There's an endless supply of fictional concepts more familiar to us than anything or anyone real. We have a far greater connection to the fictional characters we know and love than the random people we pass on the street. Our destinies and inspirations are shaped by lies, myths, and fables. There are places where our world is worn thin and another reality brushes against ours. One such site is Cauldron Lake near Bright Falls, Washington. But there are others. That other reality is dark, vast, and malleable, always in flux. In its depths dwell vast forces and alien energies. They're dangerous. But in one of these places, if you know how, you can channel the power of that place and use it to shape reality. The Taken may well be the tool the darkness favors over any other. At some point, they used to be human, but whatever humanity they once had is long gone. Now they're just shells covered and filled by darkness. The Taken Mr. throws at me are more grotesque and varied than the ones I first encountered in Bright Falls. But I know how to deal with them. I'd be lying if I said they don't frighten me. But I've survived worse. I can't let them stop me. When Dr. Rachel Meadows got the call from Michael, telling her to hurry to the observatory, she didn't waste any time. It had been a nice party. She'd had a good time, but her social life would always play second fiddle to the mysteries of space. Michael never showed up, of course. He pulled over at the wrong rest stop. She never even thought about him at the time. The phenomenon in the sky above her was too fascinating. The film noir poster reminded me of Alex Casey, the detective's cool exterior never cracking even with the gun pointed in his face. In the back room, all the lights had been turned off, except for the lone spotlight which illuminated the bright red fire extinguisher on the wall. This act of creation is exhilarating and frightening. Subtext and symbols loom eager to take effect. Causality and consequence become domino chains that stretch into infinity. The more fundamental the change, the more unpredictable the variables become. Reality is too complex to control completely. Ordinary questions become meaningless. Who created who? What is really real? Everything is as real as everything else. You learn to let go of the things you can't control and go with the flow, or go insane. The man before Dr. Meadows was handsome and slick. He moved with lazy confidence and didn't bother to pretend that he wasn't staring at her. She didn't mind, at first. Then the man flicked open the knife and shoved her out of the control room so she wouldn't hear the signal, whatever it was. Outside, she pulled her lab coat closed and thought about running. She didn't. She didn't think she'd get very far. Not from him. She never was entirely sure why he spared her. I'd found her film from the pile of containers in the back. I'd threaded it into the projector. I swallowed hard, staring at the screen, hearing her voice, the sunrise I remembered so well only moments away. And then Mr. was there, nailed by the projector's beam, caught in his own trap. He shouted at me, first in confusion, then rage. And then the sun came up and things started to burn. My writer's block got worse. I didn't sleep much anymore. My life with Alice seemed like a constant fight. I was a wreck. Alice took steps. She booked a vacation in Bright Falls, a small town in Washington. It was supposed to be a chance to break out of the cycle I was in. She didn't know about the darkness in Cauldron Lake. Alice, my wife, the best thing that ever happened to me. She smiles and the darkness lifts. For her, I've tried things I otherwise never would. I've never really minded if it's made me feel like a fool. She's a photographer, and the world she sees through her lenses is unique and beautiful. She has the vision. She sees things others don't and knows how to make them visible to everybody. She did it with me, too. She teased out things I was only vaguely aware of. She always saw me in the best possible light. It's been 2 years since I came here. Being that long without Alice breaks my heart, and I know it broke hers. I know she thinks I'm dead. How could I blame her for that? It would be a crime to pretend that she owes me anything. She took all the stupid, self-indulgent bullshit I brought into her life and still stood by me. Still loved me. It's no betrayal. But I'm a better person now than I used to be. I want to be that person with her. The car seemed to sail through the crisp mountain air in slow motion, spinning around one axis almost lazily. The moment was hypnotic. Then it struck the pipeline in a shower of sparks, the impact turning the windshield into a burst of safety glass. As it hit the ground, I snapped out of my reverie. The car was rolling downhill, slowing down as every bump killed momentum, but still coming. The fence wouldn't be enough to stop it. The dark place is utterly hostile to human life. It eats at your mind, wants you to succumb to madness. Your own thoughts can turn against you. Every shadow conceals a threat that attacks at the slightest sign of weakness. You're under endless assault. Every day is a struggle for survival. But I've learned to take care of myself. I focus on Alice, our life together, my need to be with her. That takes me a long way in the dark place. As long as I have my gun and the flashlight. I have changed. I know who I am now. I know that I can write my own fate. Bright Falls taught me that. I know that indulging my weaknesses, giving in to fear and complacency will only drag me down. The dark place taught me that. I'm no Zen master. I've not attained enlightenment. But I have learned to let go of the things that I don't need. I know that without that balance within, I become my own worst enemy. Now I strive for equilibrium, and with that, I'm strong enough to get where I want. To change the world, you must craft a blueprint for the new reality. Any work of art will do, as long as it's a genuine act of creation. That's what the energies of the dark place respond to. The results may be subtle and perplexing, or far-ranging and momentous. My area of expertise? The written word, gives much more precise results than music or interpretive dance would, for instance. But words can be extremely dangerous. What you define may become reality, but so can that which you imply, even if you don't realize you're doing so. For Serena Valdivia, burning the midnight oil was more of an exception than a rule. A procrastinator and a perfectionist, she often worked when she wouldn't be disturbed. Tonight was especially important. The film festival would open tomorrow, and there was still so much to sort out. It wasn't that the work hadn't been done. She just didn't feel like she had completely mastered everything yet. There's more to fighting the Taken than just burning away the darkness that protects them. When I'm fighting for my life, I find myself slipping into a state of intense concentration that makes the beam of my flashlight seem more powerful and focused. I used to think it was just my imagination, something brought on by the adrenaline and fear of death. But now I'm not so sure. I've been touched by powers that I can't begin to truly comprehend. And they've left a mark. I'm starting to think this might be a part of it. When the dark man's eyes suddenly locked into Serena's, she flushed hot. They ignited a black fire in her. He was talking. He wanted the power turned off. He said something about the projector booth. She hooked a finger under his belt buckle. He grabbed a hold of her throat and twisted until it hurt. Somewhere deep inside, a part of her screamed in paralyzed horror, but the moan that escaped from her throat had no panic in it. "Pay attention," he said. "Business first." His eyes glittered shamelessly. Hers did too. The clothes I wear now I shaped from dreams and memories. It's an old outfit, originally from the 90s. The last time I wore it was when I was still writing and Alice and I took a vacation in the desert before our troubles began. The night before, we'd been at a party, and I had dressed to the nines. On that lazy day, I put on these old clothes, worn and comfortable. Alice made a joke about grunge. I felt a little embarrassed, but I stuck with them. We were very happy. I'm sheathed in good memories to remind myself of what is at stake. I held the film canister in my hands. I saw her name written across it in big letters, followed by the title. It was a time capsule, moments snatched from times gone by, from a past that I hoped could also be our future. It was my salvation, our chance to be together. A tin can with a bit of magic in it that she didn't even know about. Something I could put to good use. There were only moments left before I had to face him.
I think that's it. Double check this. Mr. Scratch. We've listened to all of these already, so. Mr. Scratch.
Emma wasn't sure exactly when the man arrived at the motel, but from what she could tell, the party started almost immediately. It was infectious, spreading from one room to another. He was mercurial, almost as if he was flickering through the scene, telling a joke here, throwing an insult there, oozing sex and violence and excitement. She had never seen someone like this before. He looked at her and smiled, and she felt her heart flutter a little. She knew he was the kind of man mothers warn their daughters about, but she told herself it didn't matter.
Okay, and that's all of the pages. So I didn't read them for you. Well, there's that, and we will go back. Something is actually up. Was talking to herself in there. We go this way because there's page right. Yeah. So if I missed, say, 8, my math probably really good. Yeah, there's probably some I missed, so I think this is actually it, because this would put me at actually 8 there, and then there's probably maybe one up here. Yeah. Yeah, so that would be good then. Crossbow, I didn't know it actually was up here. Kinda neat. So yeah, I probably missed some, so this is probably actually the end. It's cool either way. See what happens. My guess, we somehow come back to life in a real world, being stuck in a world of darkness.
Again, the champion of light enters the final trap. The new reality is almost here. All he needs to do is change the details of the scene, push it past the breaking point, and the rest will snap into place.
Okay. First things first. This goes to August. And it's turned right there. Pick up. Oh. It's not there. We're gonna turn this around and change the time. No darkness though, so that's always a good thing.
Oh, come on, buddy. Why don't you... What? What is this? No! No! You can't do this! All I did was take the things you always wanted and never had the balls to go for. It's my turn now. It's my life. It's my life.
Alan? Is it really you?
It's really me.
How? I love you.
I love you.
A woman, a man, two lovers, held apart for far too long, enveloped in the light of a glorious dawn. They both feel it. He's home at last. Are these actual events, or merely a dream, a memory, or a glimpse of what is to come? One thing is certain. This scene takes place in another time and another place.
Okay, this is my
far
take
away
on American Nightmare, Alan Wake.
from Night Springs.
Where to begin? I guess the best place to start would be the story, which in this case was but I don't think that's the premise of this game. It's more kind of combat focused, which I'll get into later. But the story was just I mean, you're kind of rewriting stuff to deal with the darkness and the television stuff, where you're actually like seeing the darkness, the dark side of you on the other side, was actually more entertaining than the story itself. Because I like the TV show Lucifer. It's really good. Recommend it for anyone that hasn't seen it yet. It's good drama, but it kind of reminded me of that TV show, and it was really, just seeing the dark side of it was really kind of interesting. And I wanted to see more, but at the same time, it kind of fulfilled itself. Now, the story itself was just bleh. I mean, it was pretty much run-of-the-mill general, that sort of thing. Now, going into combat, it kind of... You pretty much, if you don't explore and get the manuscript pages, you're pretty much stuck to what the nail gun and something else. I can't even remember what it was. You get the carbine pretty early if you find the manuscript pages, but if you don't, I think the game would be a lot harder than what it was. But the manuscript pages really aren't that hard to find. I just wasn't actively going out and looking for them. So there's that. But combat was pretty much like Alan Wake, except for they added points in where you could refill your ammo and batteries, which was really nice. The mobs were actually a little different. They had your typical, Taken, which was like zombies that would run at you. And then they had other guys that kind of split when they got hit by light, which was really kind of cool and innovative. I really kind of liked them. Spiders, which could be either burnt with with the light or shot with bullets, which I didn't realize till the end. Or they had these guys that were actually birds. They take a couple, like you'd hit them with light, they'd take a couple shots and then fly off. They were kind of cool, kind of a little difficult to deal with, but they were fun. But overall, the mobs were just pretty generic. I mean, basically guys lumbering at you with a weapon and trying to hit you. A lot of what the problem I had with the game was my mouse. I think my DPI got reset on my mouse, and that's my fault, not the game's, so I'm not even going to consider that. But a lot of it was like getting flanked by random mobs coming from behind you, or an odd angle that I didn't expect. So it was kind of cool. So the game, being combat wise, was okay. I mean, I've played better for an FPS, but using the light and stuff to kind of first like burn the darkness off of them and then have to deal with them was actually kind of cool. But I mean, the game was just pretty mediocre. I liked Alan Wake a lot better than this one, which is a little unfortunate. But that's kind of the style the game was kind of going anyway. I don't know. I think that's pretty much it. I don't think there's much else to say really about the game because it was pretty generic. I think going forward, I'm going to play the sequel to Arkham City, Batman, next. So keep watching the channel, and I will see you guys here next time. Peace, and thank you.